Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson. How's it going? Things are good here. And I will say, I am in a little bit better mood, a little bit better headspace with where the Steelers are at after this game, a day removed than I was immediately. Doesn't mean everything's perfect. Doesn't mean that they're a great football team or a good football team. But there is some things we'll talk about. But as we always do on this second podcast of the week during the season, we're going to talk snap counts. There's only 54 offensive snaps. That's a very low number. And the only ones that played all 54 were Aaron Rodgers and the entire starting line, except for Siamalu, who only played 52 snaps. DK Metcalf comes in at 48. Jonnu Smith leads away with tight ends at 45 by sort of a significant margin. Jaylen Warren, we'll talk about him too. Huge snap count for him for a running back, 43. Calvin Austin at 39, Freiermuth at 38, and then we got kind of a drop-off here. Darnell Washington at 20. Wouldn't have mind seeing more. Gainwell at only 14. That's exactly, I think, where he needs to be as a player. Roman Wilson, only 9. 4 for Spencer Anderson. Scott Miller, and they did put an extra offensive lineman out there with Anderson. So Miller 4, Skoranek 4, Spencer Anderson 4. Jalen Ramsey was at 3, but that's just kneel down stuff. And Connor Hayward only played 1 snap, which I'm absolutely fine with. He really is a special teamer only. The defense, they were on the field for 74 snaps, which is too many, of course. That time of possession discrepancy in snap stuff is going to be a real problem if it's not nipped in the bud here soon. But Queen and Ramsey were the only two that played all 74. Pretty big drop-off after that. You had Slay and Watt playing 63 apiece. Eccles out there for 62. Good for him, and I thought he played well. That's a big workload for him compared to usual. And I guess the same is true for Herbig at 61. Chuck Clark, more on him later, 56. Cam Hayward, 55, and Benton, 48. That's a little more manageable than 80% of the snaps that they were at before. Jabril Peppers, 43 in his first day. And I thought they were really good, by the way. Cole Holcomb, 37. Harmon, 35. Much more than I expected. They probably didn't expect to play that many snaps as a defense overall. But I thought that was really encouraging. I thought we'd see like 12 snaps of Harmon. Peyton Wilson, 35, and had a tough day again. Thornhill, only 29. Ramsey played a lot of free safety. I mean, if Eccles was out there a bunch, Slay was out there a bunch, and Thornhill wasn't, well, Ramsey's doing the safety stuff. Black played 25. Ekwale played 17 and played quite well, in my opinion. Liao, only 13. Sawyer, only 11. Pierre for 9. Logan Lee for 4.
Football season's finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action.
If you guys ever had to hire someone, you know it can be so time-consuming. Sifting through tons of resumes, trying to get in touch with every candidate. Well, not anymore. Because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features speed up finding the right people so you can save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Over 320 new resumes are added every month, guys. And if you see candidates you like, you can get their contact information right away. So use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/audio right now and try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Hey guys, if you're planning to see a Steelers game, use the Game Time app to get your tickets. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone if you set it into your app alerts. The app is easy to use. No surprise fees at checkout. You can see your seat view before buying, and you're getting legit tickets delivered on time. If you're not much of a planner, you can get last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app and enter the code DK Steelers into your app profile to get $20 off your first purchase.
All right, as usual, I have a lot of notes here, and you probably realize it, but I do think it's noteworthy that the Patriots never led for a single second of this game. So getting out early, and we talked about slow starts last year, at least that they played with the lead from the beginning. That's rare for this team of late. That was huge. And despite making it onto Pittsburgh's side of the field for each of the final 7 possessions of the game and advancing inside the 10-yard line 3 times, the Patriots only mustered up 14 points. You got 14 points out of being inside the 10 3 times, and all 7 of those possessions you got on the Steelers side of the field. Ooh, that's a tough one for them, man. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I wanted to harp on it. Causing fumbles is a skill, and the Steelers are great at it. Great at it. Recovering fumbles, I don't think is a lot of luck. There were 5 fumbles in this game, and the Steelers recovered all 5. That's basically like taking a quarter and flipping it and getting heads 5 times in a row. Yeah, it can happen, and it's not worth calling, Ripley's Believe It or Not about it, but it's highly unlikely. This shocked me, but the more I thought through it and more I watched the game knowing this, their success rate on offense was really good, the Steelers. Again, that's just like a down-to-down consistency. They were just under 53% of their plays were successful. And I will say, and especially that's in the 90th percentile of all offenses yesterday. Over 50% of being successful on an offensive play is really good. They were in the 90th percentile in offensive success rate. And their late down success rate was also quite good. 58.3%. That's in the 84th percentile. And what really stood out to me, and I really think this is a Rodgers thing, was there was very few negative plays on offense. Now, that doesn't mean they're all great, but sacks, interceptions, penalties that you go backwards on, tackles for loss. I mean, negative plays going backwards. Very, very few. And I think that's an underlying, story here about this team, about Rodgers, and about why you won this game too. Meanwhile, the Patriots offense per rush was in the 1st percentile. 1 is bad. 99 is good. Terrible per rush. Their Pat's offense was awful on early downs, but great on late downs. 3rd and 4th down, Pat's offense was great. And consequently, the Steelers' defense was really bad on late downs, but the Steelers' defense was really good on early downs. Can see if you can get that fixed, but still, that's something. This is worrisome, and maybe some guys like Elliott coming back will help, but they attacked the middle of the field against the Steeler defense at a very high rate, 32%. That's in the 90th percentile of attacking the middle of the field. And they were very successful doing so. And Hunter Henry in particular destroyed the Steelers. I mean, every time he ran a route, he had 2.57 yards gained per route, not per target or catch. That's a huge number for a tight end. Like over 2 is really good for a receiver. 2.5 for a tight end is big, and he's not that great. Some Warren stuff. He played a career high, just about under 80% of offensive snaps. Not only is that a career high, but it's 10% more than his previous career high. He was the primary running back in all situations. early down, overwhelming majority in all the other type of situations as well. So 18 carries, that's 3 more than his previous high. Also led the team in targets, receptions, receiving yards. He is the Steelers' current receiving yards leader, which is not what you want, but it's also a credit to him. You wish that was Metcalf, Speaking of tight ends, I need more of, to be honest with you. So this week, again, remember they did not run a lot of offensive plays, but they ran 13 plays out of 54 with 3 tight ends on the field together. That's what I want to see more of. Now, those guys didn't do as much as I would have liked, in terms of box score stuff. But that makes you hard to play against. We've talked that to no end. So they really upped the ante in terms of 13 personnel. And as you would imagine, Wilson, Miller, Skoranek played very little, as we talked about the search show. And they also played 2 tight end sets for 24 plays, a single tight end for 17. So 24 out of 12 personnel, 17 out of 11 personnel, 13 out of 13 personnel. Some other notes here. Clark really got abused out of the slot, and I think was a big problem with middle of the field defensive problems. A big problem with Hunter Henry. But Peppers was really good, and it will surprise me if Peppers isn't well ahead of Clark in all instances. So, okay, this Clark experiment isn't working out great. He just looks slow, to be honest with you. But you lucked into Peppers to make up for it. So even if Elliott's not back, or maybe you want to do some 3 safety stuff with Peppers and Elliott both being healthy. So I'm really excited about Peppers, down on Clark, but I think that works out well too. So we've talked EPA before, but I'm not going to explain it in depth. But it also applies to defensive players. So this is like a crazy number. You want to be negative in EPA if you're a defensive player. Isaiah Rodgers, I only mentioned him because that's who the Steelers play next, but did obscene things. He scored 2 touchdowns on defense and had a total EPA of minus 37, which is, you don't see. If he didn't exist, the EPA leaders among defensive players this week would have been Tremaine Edmonds at minus 11. He's at minus 37. Like, that's crazy. The next couple guys are like minus 9, minus 8, minus 8. That's like the best in the league for one game during the week. But I also bring this up because the next 3 guys after Rodgers and Edmonds, of all defenders that played so far this week, that doesn't include Monday Night Football, are Watt, Herbig, Hayward. Those are the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best performances across the board defensively in the whole league. Yeah, baby. Now that's what I want to see. Cam is back, and those guys are really, really good off the edge. We'll talk Herbig more later. Later in the week, really. Rough days from Peyton Wilson. I think I mentioned that earlier. Wasn't a stellar day from Queen either, but I thought it was a really strong showing for some of these guys that have been thrust into action. Peppers, Ekwale, Eccles. And on offense, I thought Siamalu was really, really good in this game too. Just wanted to point that out. So this is kind of crazy. Since 2000, there have been 13,558 games played in the NFL. 13.5. 13K, And this is only the 5th time that a defense collected 2 turnovers after allowing its opponent to reach the 2-yard line. So in this game, they got to the 2-yard line twice and turned it over. That's only happened 5 times in well over 13,000 games. Speaking of turnovers, Ramondre Stevenson with 2, Gibson with 1, each fumbled. Then Travion Henderson came in and played 26 snaps after the Gibson fumble. So after those 3 fumbles were out of the system, Henderson came in for 26 snaps compared to 8 snaps for the other 2 combined. I also throw that out there as a little fantasy nugget. If you own Henderson and you've been upset, maybe they will treat it that way going forward. Who knows? Time to throw. Very quick in this game for Rodgers, 2.45. But May was pretty sharp too, 2.65. And one team got the opposing quarterback a lot more than the other. I mean, that's a 0.2 second discrepancy, which isn't nothing, but they're both pretty quick. Will Campbell, their rookie left tackle, the early pick, Herbig ate his lunch, and he allowed 4 quick pressures. A quick pressure is under 2.5 seconds. I mean, you get beaten under 2.5 seconds, you're hardly even there. Like over in some of his bad days, Broderick Jones, who was pretty good in this game, by the way, would have 2 quick pressures, 3 quick pressures. He had 4 allowed. We were talking last week a lot about Steelers being a really poor tackling team. Well, the Patriots missed 14 tackles in this game, and that's per NFL Next Gen, that they whiffed on 23% of their tackle attempts. That's the second highest rate, second worst by any team in any game since 2016. Now, obviously, missed tackles has something to do with who has the ball in their hands, too. Warren, more likely than anyone. But it's also not a particularly good defense, and their linebackers and safeties, usually your best tacklers, I think are pretty darn poor. But thought it was noteworthy that the Patriots missed a ridiculous number of tackles. Last couple things here. You probably know it, but this is a hard one to comprehend. But in the final 3 quarters, the Steelers only ran 32 plays. I mean, remember, the first quarter is great. Moving the ball down the field, they're going to blow them out. 32 plays run in the last 3 quarters of this game compared to 62 by the Pats. Ooh. I mentioned the tight end usage. I'd like to see more of it. I would like to see more deeper throws, especially against this back 7. And they still did not test the middle of the field all that much. Like if you look at Rodgers' passing chart. But I will say when they did, they were really good at it. I mean, so it was very successful when they attacked the middle of the field. But they still didn't do it as much as I would like. 2 more things to talk about. And this is also a Rodgers thing. They're 7 out of 8 red zone trips for the year in converting touchdowns. Not just getting points, but are scoring touchdowns in the red zone at a really high rate. Now, they're not going to be over 90% for the year of red zone efficiency for touchdowns. But boy, is this new. I mean, over the last 5, maybe longer, they've been a bottom 10 red zone offense every year. Doesn't matter who the coordinator is. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Now, if it wasn't for Boz, you know how many points they would leave on the field when they reached the red zone? And even with Boz, it's still 4 every time, you know. They were like 46% last year, and now they're, 7 out of 8, which won't keep up, but this is definitely a Rodgers thing. And it's one of those hidden things that he adds to the team that you just don't think about. So in the end, you get a win. There's a lot of things that still need worked on. I mean, I think we all know that. But when we just talk math, in terms of standings and things like that, your loss was to an NFC team, and you're now 2-0 in the AFC. So I don't think the Steelers are going to run away with the AFC North and, not have to worry about their playoff seeding. They're probably going to come down to some version of a tiebreaker of if they get in, where they end up seeding, where they play. And 2-0 in the AFC goes a long way. So hope that puts you in a little bit better spin. The last 24 hours, I'm in a better place for sure where this team is at. And all these teams are working stuff out, guys. I mean, they just are. So, all right, take care.